Welcome. I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to be talking to you today about the reasons why to make change one step at a time. We love to think about big changes in our lives and get started with a bunch of stuff at once, and it gets frustrating to slow down. So, I want to give you the reasons why to take one step at a time, to focus on one habit at a time so that you can make lasting change and do the things that you want to do once and for all. I'm Missy Hughes. I'm a productivity coach. I'd love to help you make the lasting change that you want in your life. If you find this information helpful, you can go to the link in the comments of the video where you can sign up for getting started with change. Go there and start digging into what the change that you want. And you can also schedule a free consultation with me using the calendar link in my YouTube profile. So change one step at a time. We hate to hear that, right? Even though we know there's a part of our brains that knows that it makes sense, when we've all got a lot of things we want to do at once. We have life is something that we do a lot of things at once. We have pets and relationships and homes and work and all we have different areas of our lives that are always going. So why do we take new habits one step at a time? So, there are a couple of reasons that researchers have found that are really crucial in lasting change. You can make change quick, but when you want it to last, it has to go a little bit deeper. So, one of the first things, what is change? You are creating new behavior. When you create new behavior, you have to think about it. It's not habitual. It seems like an obvious statement, but when you repeat a pattern over and over again, then it becomes automatic. It becomes habitual. So, how do we create that automation? There are a couple of key factors. Number one is consistency. You have to put in the repetitions. Well, how do you get consistency? These are the reasons I want you to really get into. So, consistency comes from being really clear. The first thing researchers have found is if you have a new pattern, first of all, being clear about what is the new pattern? What is the new behavior that you want to do? Not the overarching goal. So, for instance, if I had weight loss as a goal, I would have probably 10 different things that I may want to consider. I need to choose one of them and focus on it and master it as a skill. Let it become habitual. Let me at least not think about it so much. So, what is that one behavior? Maybe it's drink water. Maybe it's we drink, so many ounces in a day. Well, if I've got to start this new habit of drinking more than what I'm doing now, I have to think about how that's going to happen. So, what researchers have found is when you have a new behavior, if you decide when, where, and how you're going to do the new thing, you've already decided what. So, what, when, where, and how, then that gives greater success with consistency. So, you clearly define I'm going to drink 70 ounces of water. If I'm going to drink 70 ounces of water, where am I going to do that? Well, for me, I'm going to go, I have a glass that I like in my kitchen. Here it is with just a little bit left. And I refill that however many times to get 70 ounces in a day or whatever it is. It will vary depending on who you are. So I know what I'm going to do is drink 70 ounces. Where I'm going to do it is out of this glass. When am I going to do it? For this habit, that's going to be the hardest. I'm going to drink some when I wake up. I'm going to drink some before each meal. I'm going to drink some when I get back from walking my son to school. I'm going to get some when I do my exercise. So I have laid out a plan of when I'm going to make that happen. How is 14 ounces at a time? down the hatch and refill the glass before at the end of it. So when I define those things, then I have to think about it less. If I just say, I'm going to drink more water, number one, what does more water mean? Number two, well, if I drink two more sips, is that more? Am I going to improve my health that way? Maybe, but that would be a longer process to improving my health. So when I'm clear about it, it is more likely to get done. Now, I might miss it here and there. I might forget to drink before a meal. I might be in a rush when I'm at another time. I may miss it. I'm going to mess it up for sure. But when I am clear about those things, when I've set an intention about those things, I'm more likely to create consistency. So the other part that is so important, so you've got to change, you've got a new behavior that you want to become a pattern. Consistency gives you repetition, but you have to have conscious effort in there too. So when I'm deciding what, when, where, and how, then I have to really think about it. There, as I said, sometimes I will forget, right? So it's not a habit yet, it's not automatic. I'm going to forget. So I have to be specific about how do I remember? If I've got 15 things that I'm trying to change, my brain is all of a sudden going to all these 15 different things. It's kind of exhausting. It sounds crazy. Like, no, of course I can do more than one thing at once. But the truth is, a lot of the things that you do are already habitual. You don't have to think very hard about brushing your teeth or how you put on your pajamas, right? You don't have to think, I put in one leg and then I put in the other. Watch a toddler try to put on their pajamas. You realize that is a skill you develop. It's not something innate. It is something that at one point you were thinking really hard about, and now you don't have to think really hard about. So when you're thinking, when you are focusing on one habit at a time, being consistent in that habit, getting enough repetitions in to make it habitual, you have to have very conscious effort. You have to really think about it. If you're thinking about 5 different things at a time, your focus is not very clear. It's not connected as much because we have to let some things go. We can't be conscious about everything in our lives. So when you're starting a new habit, you really want to get good at it. You want to have as much success as you possibly can because that's going to lead to the habitual part. So from my personal training background, I learned in the body as the body creates muscle patterns. So this muscle fires that triggers that one and you build strength and then it becomes automatic. It takes 300 to 500 repetitions to create a new pattern, new facilitation. So if I'm learning how to do a squat for the first time, I'm going to do 300 to 500 repetitions of that. And then doing a squat will just be automatic for me. I will know squat equals keep your chest high, put your hips back, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if I am repatterning an old habit, like I'm going to change Coke to water, it takes 3,000 to 5,000 repetitions to change an old pattern into a new one. I don't want that to be discouraging to you. That sounds like a lot, and it is. The reason I say that is for you to be clear that if I'm getting in 3,000 to 5,000 reps of something, I got to be focused on that something. I've got to be dedicated to that something because it's not going to go perfectly. So that's the third part about this that I want to bring out. So, number one is we're trying to develop consistency. How do we do that? We get clear on what we're doing, when, where, and how we're going to do it. We get clear in our minds that we have to really think about it in the beginning, especially to create that consistency. Number three is that what gets in the way? What gets in the way is our minds. We are impatient in general. So when I tell you 3,000, when I tell you 300 reps, that may sound like a lot. 3,000 probably sounds like a lot. And 5,000 might be like, I don't even want to change anymore. I'm going to stay right where I am. We aren't generally patient. So when we're in it for the long haul, we want change to happen quickly. We want the stuff to happen. We want to zip on and off the suits. So impatience gets in our way. Another thing that gets in our way is a low tolerance for imperfection. We think that if we're going to start drinking 70 ounces of water a day, 69 ounces of water is not good enough. And the truth is, it's going to be a mess, right? As we learn a new habit, it's going to be a mess. We're going to have to mess up, learn from that mess, keep going. It's not mess up, I didn't do it. Oh, well, I'm done. And that's what we usually do because we're impatient, right? We want it to go well, right? We aren't planning to mess it up. And so when we do mess up, often we give up. So we're impatient and we have a low tolerance for imperfection. We have a low tolerance for not being so good at things. We also have a tendency to focus only on what we think this habit will give us. We focus on the goal overarching. So if I drink 70 ounces of water a day, it will get to my weight loss goals. When I lose the weight, then all of these magical things will happen in my life, right? So we tend to focus not on how drinking water makes us feel. We tend to focus on how weight loss will make us feel. And when drinking 14 ounces of water at a time doesn't make me feel all that different, then I think I'm failing at the big goal of weight loss, which is not true, right? Whenever we're creating new habits, especially for big goals, it's kind of a haul. It can be a bit of a process. So we have a low tolerance for patience. We're impatient. We have a low tolerance for imperfection. And we have a tendency to focus only on the big goal and what it will give us, not on what we actually are feeling all along the way. So what do we do? Number one, when you're focusing on any kind of change, it is great to connect to that end goal, and that's what's going to keep you coming back, right? But when we're focused on the individual habits that we're creating, it's important to note you're not focusing on like the sparkle of it. You're focusing on the what, when, where, and how. It's kind of boring. So when you know it's kind of boring going in, you can expect it to be a little boring going in. I'm not going to have all the magic of the end result of the goal every step of the way, and that's okay because I am changing along the way to allow that magic to build. So the next part of that is expecting imperfection. When we expect imperfection, then we're not derailed by it. You also don't think motivation is the thing driving you. If it's going to be a little bit boring, that's not all that motivating. That's okay. You can commit to the repetition, commit to building a new habit, not just building new results. So When I plan for me to mess up, when I plan to drink 40 ounces some days, then I just start right back at today. I'm going to drink a glass of water when I wake up. Now I'm going to drink another glass. Now I'm going to drink another glass. It has nothing to do with what I did in the past anymore. I'm just building the skill of drinking a glass. I'm not building the skill of beating myself up because I didn't do it perfectly. I'm building the skill of drinking another glass. So when we plan for our impatience, plan for it to be boring, and we plan for imperfection, I expect myself to mess up along the way. Then we get to keep going. Now we decide number three, the third point I want to offer you is decide a time frame. I'm going to build this new skill for 2 weeks. I'm going to keep it going for 3 months and see what kind of change it makes. Maybe after 2 weeks, I've kind of gotten it down. I can keep practicing that habit, but now I can start the next step. But I don't ever want to say, like, I'm 2 weeks in and that didn't work. I'm going to toss it out the window. And we do that a lot, don't we? It's like, I think it's not working. I think it's not getting me to this big end result. And so I'm going to toss it out and try something new. Decide on a time frame and know that it's going to take a couple of months. Any new habit, I mean, I told you 300 to 500 repetitions for a new habit. You might be like, okay, how quickly can I get 300 repetitions of this 14-ounce glass down the hatch? I don't need you to do that kind of math. Just know it's going to take a minute. It's probably going to take a couple of months, 2 to 3 months to make your new pattern habitual. So when you give your mind that much leeway to really think about something, then you can learn from it. Then you don't have to worry about being motivated because you know you're not going to be. You're just going to be dedicated. When you know that you're not going to do it well, then you don't do it well. You don't beat yourself up. You just get right back into it. And you know, you've got these couple of months, 2 to 3 months, to just practice getting good at it, practice getting better, practice learning from whatever you're getting out of this new habit. So I used drinking water, but you can use absolutely any new habit that you want to form. And know you got to get consistent, clear, consistent, put the brain power in it. When you're putting the brain power in one thing at a time, you can be automatic on all the other stuff and you really more quickly get into your consistency. You build those reps that make it automatic. So go to the comments of this video, grab the link to sign up for Getting Started with Change and sign up for a free consultation with me. I can't wait to help you get started on your goals. See you soon.